Hey guys, so I woke up this morning. I'm hype as fuck for Callisto Protocol. It's coming out this Friday. And I figured, you know what? Let's do a follow-up to my top 5 shooters that need a remake. And let's dive into the best genre in gaming, of course, horror games. So these are going to be the top 5 horror games that desperately need a remake. If you agree with any of these on the list, go ahead, leave a comment on what developer you think would make the best version of a remake, sequel, reboot, whatever. You know, let the imagination run wild. As always, thank you for watching. Drop a like and subscribe, all that good shit. Let's get to it. The Thing. So, The Thing was a game released in 2002 by Computer Artworks. It was a tie-in to John Carpenter's film of the same name, a beloved film by horror movie fans, and the game got somewhat of a cult following as well. If you haven't seen the film or played the game, The Thing is about essentially an alien parasite that can mimic any host it takes over, and the movie played out kind of like a classic whodunit where everyone is isolated and paranoid that the person next to them is in fact a parasite. The game did its best to follow the film in terms of direction and visuals, and for the most part, it did an excellent job of this. The game starts essentially right where the movie ended. It did have some jank to it, but it had some excellent psychological elements that were basically untouched in the medium at the time, and some unique survival elements too, like monitoring your body heat. It's honestly a shame the game has never been touched again or even really talked about, and I think a remake of this game could be a huge hit if done right. Ghosthunter.
There are thousands of ghost stories, tales of suffering, loss, and rejection. Into a few intrude the living.
Ghosthunter for the PS2 is a 2003 third-person shooter developed by SCE Cambridge Studio, an internal development company for Sony. Anyone who played Ghosthunter recognized it as an instant classic. While the game was never scary, it was eerie throughout, and what set it apart were the game mechanics and its premise. In fact, I still wonder why to this day there's so few ghost fighting games. I just don't get it. Anyways, you play as Lazarus, a cop who basically fucks up on his first day on the job and lets a bunch of ghosts out, and this talking sentient computer tells you basically gotta clean up your mess. And I know what you're thinking, I agree, it's cheesy as hell, but that was kind of part of its appeal. Ghosthunter had great bosses, awesome moment-to-moment gameplay, and the facial animations and little details, as with most of these cult classics, were so ahead of its time. It's honestly straight up blasphemous that this game has not gotten some kind of remaster. Fear
is a basic human emotion. What frightens you more? The evil that you know? Or the evil that you don't know?
Fear is a game that I think lives rent-free in the minds of most gamers because this game was so fucking awesome. And between the years 2005 and 2011, Monolith Productions seemed to have a vice grip on the horror and first-person shooter genre. And while Fear 3 may not have lived up to the first two games with the critics, I played all of them multiple times. The slowdown effect was just too good in that game. Blasting enemies with a shotgun while their head exploded in slow motion literally never got old. And the game was actually scary. It was filled with so many jump scares, it was ridiculous. Every fucking time you turn around, Alma would pop out, and I don't know why, but I was just never able to predict it. The game had excellent sound design, semi-interesting puzzles, and just all around was an awesome horror corridor shooter that very few other games have gotten close to, and we absolutely need a remake or a sequel. The Darkness.
I remember the night of my 21st birthday. That was the first time I died.
The Darkness was another first-person shooter horror game released in 2007. There's a Darkness 2 as well, and both of them are made by different development companies, and both were excellent. But the one I'm talking about mainly is the first one, Darkness by Starbreeze Studios. So if you don't know, The Darkness is based off of a comic book by the same name. You play as Jackie Estacado. If I remember right, he's like an ex-mafia type, and basically his girl Jenny gets kidnapped by the same mafia that you were in this corrupted cop organization. And in the midst of all this, you get possessed by an evil spirit called the Darkness that essentially turns you into the ultimate killing machine. It's fucking awesome. The whole game plays out like a detective noir story, all being observed narratively as Jackie tells you the dramatic story as it unfolds before you. The game all around feels like it lives in its own bubble of creativity. The combat, storytelling, and horror elements, and even the central themes in general were so unique, and the world needs a remake badly. Sorry if I butchered that story, by the way, that was all off of memory. Condemned. The Condemned series is one of the most criminally underrated series of all time, in my opinion. Even though it's beloved by anyone who played it nowadays, when it was released in 2005, it was so slept on, it's crazy. This game is fucking terrifying. It's a brutal, gritty experience of hand-to-hand combat and a seedy underside of a criminal world that since then has never been recreated in the same fashion or to the same effect. Add to that a surprisingly awesome multiplayer experience in Condemned 2 Bloodshot, and this is a game that desperately needs a sequel or a reboot. So, Condemned is set in the fictional city of Metro. You play as Ethan Thomas, a crime scene investigator, as you traverse through a ton of condemned buildings trying to figure out who framed you for this murder. The game, while being in first person, has very little gunplay, and instead relies on improvised hand-to-hand combat. The weightiness of it all felt fantastic even in 2005. And a remake with today's technology, if done right, would be absolutely insane, and we deserve it. Anyways, let me know what you think of that top 5 list. If you have any to add, make sure to leave a comment below. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.